We'll call the meeting to order at 3:14. In the interest of time, we'll dispense of item A, the Pledge of Allegiance. Please don't judge me, but we can go on then to the consent agenda. Is there a motion to accept the consent agenda, which includes the agenda as well as the minutes of the July 8th regular meeting?
I so move.
Thank you, Mr. Nelson. Is there a second?
I second.
Thank you, Mr. Tobin. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Item B2 are citizens' comments. Are there any citizens to be heard?
Good afternoon. My name is Donald Crenshaw, and I just wanted to reiterate our position for the city of Erie as a builder developer. We had a so-called meeting today. Mr. Snipper, myself, our attorneys, counsel, and we're still moving down the road. But one of the things I would like for the redevelopment to look really hard at is the fact that I think our missions are all the same, and that is to rehabilitate houses and keep them on the tax rolls. We have some different methods and rules we have to sort of try to follow to make that happen. But I just wanted to come before the board and everyone again today to say that it truthfully costs the redevelopment today and me more money that should be being put into the houses. When we have attorneys in there and doing, the quicker we, being the redevelopment authority, Aaron and myself can come to agreements, the less it costs the taxpayers or me. I think we have the same goal, and that is to have houses rehabilitated and people living in them. We received funding again from the state, as I stated before. We're about to start on a 26-unit housing project for low to moderate income people. And for the record, 2708 Downing, which started about 3 years ago, COVID. It's in front of the board of reviewers right now. They're determining a value. If the value is zero, the redevelopment will pay us nothing. If the value is $50,000, the redevelopment authority will either pay us $50,000 or I'm sure that that point they'd probably offer it back to us. But the point is, why do we have to go through the costly exercises that we're doing? We are a developer contractor building right now, Erie Bank on 10th and Parade. We're building, we're doing it. I have multiple trainees. We're doing it, we're doing it, we're doing it. Well, sooner we can get together and work out something that we don't have to have council involved with, which 22nd Street, 324 East 22nd. You go by and look at it, I put about 50 grand in that house. There's no reason we should have council having to represent either one of us when our goal is to renovate the house. And I stepped forward last October, new windows, new doors, new siding, to make sure my actions spoke louder than my words. Why we were still in court and having attorneys try to work stuff out when I showed you what I would do. I fixed the house up. It's not done because of stop work order. When a stop work order goes on a house and I can't do any more, but we're renovating it, you know, for the record, this was placed by the city, but there was legal permits gotten, electrical permit by a licensed electrical contractor. It's right here. I see Aaron shaking his head, so the rest of you can look at it. This is a permit issued for the city. The plumbing permit was issued. All the permits of record are on the record that we paid for permits, the electrician, to have this work done. Now, again, not to get into a lot of argument and Aaron's shaking his head, let's look at the records. Let's call a meeting, bring it in. Attorneys are being paid. I'm paying, you're paying. But the question is our objective to create affordable housing for low to moderate income people? Mr. Scalise, your family's been doing this for decades. You know what has been done, what needs to be done. I and you have talked years past, and we've tried to do it even together. Why are we spending the taxpayers' money to continue legal issues when at the end of the day, houses that I've addressed, we just sold one today, Matter of fact, your legal firm represents me in a closing. So we closed on a house. So at the end of the day, let's go about this in a different manner. Let's close the door, maybe go in a room and say nobody goes out until there's a resolution. But we've fixed up, we're continuing to fix up, we're gonna add some more. Heck, the Erie Community College just received funds to address blighted property and do a training program. Well, I wonder where they got that idea. We've been doing it for about 6 years now, and we're taking properties, which I'm fighting them to keep them off the blight, or are requesting funds to get the funds, which takes sometimes agencies 2 to 3 years to get us the funds, but we get them, and then after we get them, we do fix up the houses. So I'm here today to ask the board and everybody to let's stop the legal issues. Let's sit down. Aaron, put me and Aaron in a room and say we don't come out until we resolve something. Do something. But we got to stop spending taxpayers' money for going to court. Stop me spending good money that could be going into units for going to court. But go to 322, 324 East 22nd. Look at the house and say, okay, he's got permits. If they're on record, why are we still fighting when we don't have to? So I just, again, bring it before the Redevelopment Authority, before Aaron, and say, hey, let's fix up city. There's a lot of people in need of housing, majorly. I just got another letter. HUD just awarded $174 million for housing. Let's use that not in legal fees, but actual sticks and mortar. I appreciate it, and thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Crenshaw. Are there any other citizens to be heard? Hearing none, we'll move on to item C, our finance report.
All right, so last week, the board was provided with the financial statements. April Decker is on vacation today. I'm able to answer any questions anyone has, but you should have the statement of financial interest, statement of activity, the check detail, along with the reconciliation report. So I guess I could try to answer any questions, or we can pass those along to April. She'll be back in the office tomorrow. Or I have Corey, who's here, who might be able to answer some of that. So that's the financial report. So if you want to, we'll start there and then we can go down through the list.
I personally didn't have any questions. Mr. Tobin or Kevin, Mr. Nelson, do you have any questions?
I do not.
Okay,
I do not either.
great, thank you. And is this a good time just to give us a short snippet update on our computer project with
Yes,
Baker Tilly?
absolutely. So I provided the memo that I had sent out back in July in the board packet. So we've been working with Baker Tilly. Like I said, they were here the week of the last board meeting. Really went in depth into a lot of the financial operations of the authority, our processes, our procedures, and how things are going currently, and looking at best practices moving forward. So the timeline included in that memo, it has changed a little bit. I believe we got another one a week or so ago from Isaac from Baker Tilly, just updating some of the timeframes within that. But I believe Corey has completed the spreadsheet to get over to them. They're going to do some fine tuning on that, get it over to Baker Tilly. So we're looking for them to start that implementation process following along with this. So, we're really looking at a go live with Blackbaud sometime in October, and really it'll then be, up and running at that point, give us a couple months to kind of vet out some issues, work through that, go back and forth with them. We did get, while Baker Tilly was on site, an amendment to our implementation program, which extends out our use of the third-party implementer for Blackbaud, so that will help. But other than that, it's going well. I think, there's going to be a lot coming down the road as soon as we get through Blackbaud. A lot of processes. They're going to put together some process maps, some of the segregation of duties and such, as in our GASB and all that, so that our audit is a little bit easier come every year as they start to go through it, because we have the staff to segregate a lot of those financial systems that we didn't have in the past. So.
All right. It's a yeoman's process. We appreciate it.
Yes. Thank you.
Okay.
And
I think we're now on to, make sure I'm not.
as I say, I can direct the financial statements. I apologize, that was on the agenda. We had all hopes that Felix and Glucker would have those completed for today's board meeting. They worked diligently doing some journal entries the last few weeks to try to clear up some stuff, but come last Friday, Natalie from Felix and Glucker wasn't quite comfortable in providing a draft
Okay,
until she had a couple other things that Corey took care of this morning, so we're gonna have to push that off until September. And
All right.
we should have a draft here early next week that I'll forward onto the board, but final approval
yeah,
will
if you
have to
could
be in
email out the
September.
draft, that gives us a chance to review the financial statements then.
Yeah,
Before the
absolutely.
presentation is done. And the auditors will be here at the September meeting then, is that correct?
Yes, that is the plan.
Very
Yes.
good. All right. Excellent. The solicitor's report was in our packets.
Did you want to approve the finance report?
Oh, forgive me, thank you. Yes. Is there a motion to accept the financial reports as presented?
Chuck, I do have a question.
Yes, sir?
Aaron, if you will, you had mentioned that there's going to be a segregation of duties. Do we know if we have enough personnel to be able to split that among in the office, or will we have to hire someone else?
So as of right now, we have enough personnel. A lot of, there's going to be some changes. So with Corey on board, as you see in the organizational chart as a financial specialist, I believe, a lot of it will fall onto him as far as the creation and logging of a lot of those. But then a lot of the purchase order requests and financial part of it is going to go back on to the directors of each individual department to do their own inputting into Blackbaud, which will allow for the separation of those duties so that Corey is then approving them and then ultimately passing them on to April for final approval.
Okay. All right, thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Point well taken. In small organizations, it's sometimes difficult to separate the duties in a meaningful way, so, but,
Yeah, and as you've all been through many times, our single audits always point out that as a, a thing that we need to work on, so that's, certainly something that Baker Tilly took
yeah.
to heart. So,
And I know one of the improvements that we're going to get is, the budget versus actual in our financial statements, which is a very key roadmap in terms of monitoring progress of programs while also monitoring the budget as well. So it
Absolutely.
serves as a very important tool where I can't wait till October rolls around and we start, seeing those reports. So looking forward to that. All right, on to the solicitor's report then.
I motion to approve.
Oh,
that,
I'm sorry. Thank you. Thank you for keeping me on the straight and narrow.
pending audit.
I
I
appreciate
second that motion.
Gentlemen, I thank you. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
So the financials have been properly motioned and seconded and voted on, so now we can move on. Forgive me. So in absence of Attorney Sundberg, is there any presentation on?
Right, so yeah, Gene apologizes. He wanted to get back to his office and complete some of the tasks he needs to do, following up on our status conference
Okay.
held this afternoon in reference to 324 East 22nd Street. So he apologizes for not being in attendance, but, the judge made it very clear that some of that needed to be done today. So he worked he wanted to go back to the office and get that done.
Sure.
So he provided the memorandum for your review, and, in hopes that you agree that that would be enough for the solicitor's report today.
All right.
So, and as far as an update on the status conference, I think, it was certainly well needed, and the Redevelopment Authority remains and has been poised to negotiate and proceed in any manner once the other party comes to the table.
Doing a quick scan here, just make sure I haven't forgotten anything.
We do, there is, as you see on this list on Gene's report, a lot of properties. We have, I think Friday is a full slate of hearings over in the court for a couple properties, and then some other ones that we're working through some relinquishment agreements on currently, specifically the ones on Third and Sass. Hopefully we'll have those. We have the funds in escrow have already been committed to their attorney's office, and we hope to have the agreements on both properties in hand here before the end of August. And then I am doing an inspection Wednesday morning at a property on East Fifth Street, which was a relinquishment agreement. He's requested a final inspection, done a phenomenal job, and so we'll be out there Wednesday morning to complete that relinquishment agreement, so then we can relinquish that property back to him as well. So things are moving, but yeah, moving along.
Well, the list is getting shorter, I think, so that's
Yeah.
a good sign then. Means properties are moving. Okay, great. And Mr. Snipper, did you have any general updates for us to share?
Just that attended the Southern Grant Forum in Texas, put on by a auditing accounting firm and an attorney out of Atlanta, Georgia. Second time I've gone to it. April went with me, to Texas. Very big on GASB, single audits. There was a very good session on nonprofits, boards, and staff roles. Lady was very good. I took some good notes. She kind of gave us a PowerPoint, told us to blow it apart, put it back together for our boards as educational sessions. So what I got out of that is, and I talked to Cynthia, like to try to schedule a board summit sometime in October to try to, get together for several hours, kind of talk through the authority's operations, and then look at setting goals and planning for 2025 as we work into this October, November budget time and into the getting ready to roll out there January 1st. So going to put together some dates, try to find maybe a good October afternoon that works for all 5 board members that we can get together on that.
I think it's great because it also helps us as board members understand our responsibility and fiduciaries, for the organization. I come from a heavy nonprofit management background, but this isn't exactly a nonprofit organization. This is as a authority, it's a little different, and so it helps me balance out. And I'm sure our other members will appreciate the updates and education on that as well.
Yeah, so look forward to those emails here in the coming weeks as we try to get something scheduled.
Very good. Item E is, first of all, our election of officers, and there was a suggestion that we're in the process of recruiting a 5th board member. So the suggestion by our executive director, and I agree, is to postpone the election of officers till next month. Gives us a chance to onboard a new director, so we'll have a full complement of all 5, so that board members can campaign, if you will, for office. We'll have buttons made. We'll do the whole thing. State what our platforms are. But in all seriousness, I think it would be just fine to postpone a month. Our existing structure will remain in place for the next 30 days until we have our election, once we have our 5th member, which I think is appropriate. Are there any comments or concerns?
Do you want a motion to table?
Okay, yeah, but motion to table, and then we'll go to comments. And is there a motion to table?
So moved.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any comments or concerns? Hearing none. All those in favor to table till next month? Signify by saying aye. Aye.
Easy enough.
Okay, thank you. The meeting schedule, we spoke briefly before we actually started our meeting about maybe pushing our meetings back to 4 o'clock. Were there any objections or comments on that thought? If we can swing that, it might involve going to a different location, which quite frankly may make parking easier for some of us, maybe make it a little more challenging for staff members, of course, but so we're just kind of thinking about pushing it back just a little bit. It makes it easier on our employers sometimes.
Yeah.
Mr. Nelson, Mr. Toman, did you have any comments or concerns about a 4 o'clock meeting?
I do not. I recall when we spoke about it before, that we were more concerned about the staff there. We were concerned about if we needed to video any of those meetings and to be able to get in and get out at a certain time. But I'm amenable to whatever changes we need to make.
Okay. All right, thank you. And
Yeah, I have no objection either.
Okay. And there might be more of an administrative burden if we did move in terms of technology, but just we'll check it out and report back then next month.
Absolutely.
Okay. Appreciate the consideration. Okay. So then item 3 is our organizational chart. And
Yeah, so I provided an organizational chart. Part of, like I said, when Baker Tilly was in town there that week in July, we walked through a lot of things. And so the organizational chart was something, I know it was on the agenda before, we had provided it, but it was really a lot of moving pieces. But I think, with the discussion with Baker Tilly, we kind of got it fine-tuned. We have a lot of vacant positions listed on here. Some of them won't remain vacant very long, as in the blighted property manager. But, as you see on vacant over on the finance side on the left, is a loan specialist. That was kind of a recommendation of Baker Tilly. We roll out the loan programs as far of all of that separation of duties and that, they highly recommend that we would bring somebody in who would specifically be focused on that, so that then there is that segregation or separation of duties when that comes. So provided the organizational chart for the board's review, and then along with, I remember the last time we discussed it, the board kind of requested kind of an overview of what each position does on a daily basis. So Cynthia and I believe Angel were gracious enough to help me put that together. So that is there for the board to review. I'm not sure we really need board action on this, unless the board just kind of wants to approve the organizational chart for the record. But I don't believe it's necessary unless the board feels so.
I think this is good for informational purposes. We may put something like this, maybe absent the names, out on the website so that citizens kind of know what the structure is, and it's helpful to, as the organization grows and reestablishes itself, that we have, kind of like who does what. I think that would be helpful.
That's a great idea.
Yeah. So much information is, you go to the website first to figure out what's going on, and that might reduce other questions or concerns.
Okay. No, great suggestion. All right, you want me to move on, Chuck?
Yes, please.
All right, so the next is just back in January, I had provided kind of a goal summary for 2024. Just wanted to provide an update to the board. I won't go through with two members on Zoom. I won't go through. It's there for your review. I'd say we're on track to at least successfully complete the goals that were identified back in January. I know last month I had talked about the LHRD grant. We were waiting on our HUD administrator to get back our revised 1044. That came through the day after the board meeting, so we are extended out until July 3rd, 2025. At 110 units, so that's all in place and moving forward, along with the Healthy Homes programs are all moving forward as well. But that is there. If there's certainly any questions, I'd be glad to answer them.
Yeah, I don't. It would be kind of interesting, if possible, to format this so it's on kind of on a rolling schedule, so that
I
like
can do
first
that.
quarter, second quarter, third quarter.
Yeah.
And it's going to roll, over.
Yeah, no, that,
Because you can't really capture everything in a 12-month period. This is a dynamic organization where programs may start a little earlier or be delayed slightly then, so they kind of be adjusted then, so that we as board members kind of know what's coming up in terms of programs that are starting or programs that should be completed. And if they're not completed, then we can learn, why that is, and provide whatever support might be needed to get, the programs done.
absolutely. Okay, yeah, I'll work on that.
And this was in our board packet. I
Yes.
didn't get through the whole board packet, I must admit, so I'm
Yeah, it's all in there.
Okay.
And if it's not, we'll get it out to you, but
all
I
right,
believe
it was in the packet. Okay, thank you. I trust you. Life got in my way this week, so. So I'm pausing for the other two members if they had any comments or questions on the goals that may have been selected, but we'll be working with, I look at this as a working document, that this becomes updated periodically, not maybe every month, but at least every quarter that we would look at. Probably.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, no questions or comments from me.
All right, thank you.
Neither for me as well.
Okay. And you gentlemen, are you able to hear us okay? I want just a little check-in on technology. You're good?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
All right, number 5, the RACB, just a update where that stands. Pennsylvania Office of Budget has approved the amendment to our segment 3 for our RACB grant for the EMTA build-out of their parking garage. So currently it stands at RACB assistance funds of $2,095, or $2,095,412, which will close out our RACB grant. And then that is matched with $3,194,648 in other funding. That was provided in your board packet, but it's really some unrestricted funds from EMTA along with a DOT grant and a Federal Transportation Administration CARES Act grant. So I believe that project has been bid out and is commencing construction currently. So
Yeah,
moving forward and look forward to its completion.
I saw some media posts presented by EMTA, I think, on this project then, so I was just making sure this was part of it.
Yeah, this is part of it.
This is part of the
So,
puzzle
yeah,
then.
the authorities involved, they've been working with Tom Hardy from Altair Consulting. So he's been instrumental in getting this revised with OB and allowing us to hopefully finally close out that Union Square RACP grant.
And that's for their parking garage. Does this also include, maybe this is a topic for another meeting, but was there not some retail space that was included in that?
So segment 3 originally was to supplement and assist with the construction of the parking garage.
Okay.
However, due to some legal issues in regards to the general contractor on that construction, that segment wasn't able to be completed. So in working with OB, it was found to be the best, in the best interest of the grant and EMTA, that we structure the reconfiguration of segment 3 into the entire build out of the retail space underneath the parking garage.
Okay.
So that's what we did. We took the RACB money out of the actual parking garage, and it is now into the build out of the retail space.
And was that, I know it's really the EMT's project, but is that going to be grocery or?
I do not know.
We do not know
Yeah,
that information.
that was not disclosed, and
All right.
it has zero bearing on.
Okay, we're just happy
The
to,
grant.
we're just
Yeah, we're
happy
just
to
happy
provide
to-
the resources to get the
Yes,
project
we're glad to
built.
assist with the project.
Okay, understood. In case a citizen asks or whatever, I like to be able to
Yeah.
know things I need to know, so, okay, perfect. All right, housing program update then.
Guess that's me.
That is you.
So, starting with Healthy Homes, I won't read you all the numbers, but as you can see, the vast majority of it is allocated. Like I think I said last month, I've got a little pause on putting more projects through, just waiting for a few more of those project costs to come in. But it looks right now, depending on the project costs, the average project cost staying what it is, we'll be able to do maybe 7 to 12 more to close that out. We've got 138 total that have been completed or are in progress right now. I also have a meeting scheduled for Aaron and I with the National Center for Healthy Housing, coming, which actually I'm gonna have to move because it was next week and I won't be here. But to discuss some other funding opportunities. They know that we are interested in keeping that program funded or getting it refunded in the future. So they're gonna talk with us about, some opportunities possibly to pursue, to maybe keep that going. LHRD, of course, the new grant app is the big one right there, but we are in the process of closing out the last one. We've got plenty of support for that, and I think I'm down to 12 units that we need to complete for benchmarks for the existing one. We do have that state-led grant money to fill any gap between closing out this one and hopefully being awarded the next one, so we shouldn't have any gaps in service there.
And is the contractor pool looking good?
Your supervisor class was
So,
We
well
had a
attended.
Supervisor class back in June, I almost said September, my gosh. It was very well attended. We had some new contractors in attendance that we're hoping that they are able to sit and pass their third-party exam with the state, and with the hopes they will come do work for us. But we did have 13 at that class, myself included, and I'm still waiting to take the test too. I also attended 2 weeks ago certifications for lead inspector and lead risk assessor, which I passed. So now I just have to take that state exam.
Congratulations.
Yes, thank you. Well, congratulate me after I pass all these state exams. It's quite a lot of study material. Whole home repair keeps on rolling. Still, unfortunately, probably have more in Tier 3 areas, but Tier 2 has really picked up. We've gotten a lot of applicants through them and finally some completed applications, so we're getting those through. Where else? Keystone Facade. We were working with Love Your Block on those. They're helping procure some candidates for that. It's a teeny one. It's just, like I said, just facade grant, just for a certain little area. We think we'll be able to get, 9 jobs through that. So we have gotten a few applicants that they procured for us. And last, this is a mini grant that I haven't talked about in a while, but the National Center for Healthy Housing, that's how I first came to be with them, was for a mini grant to do some things for in-home daycare facilities in the city. We do have an event finally scheduled for that. It's been delayed a few times due to some personnel turnover with the community college and some things there, so we've changed course. It's now going to be held at ECAT, and it will be every in-home daycare facility in the city is going to be invited to it. It'll be part of the events for Lead Month in October.
And what are the goals for this program?
So the biggest thing is we want to make sure that these in-home facilities have access to the same resources that our commercial facilities have. And so, letting them know about programs like ours, which hopefully by then the lead program will hopefully be refunded. So we'll, be able to talk to them about making their homes lead safe through that program. But also there will be some different health and safety speakers from the health department, from the fire department, things like that about, if there are other programs out there for them for, fire safety, for chemical safety, for, any sorts of things. We'll be providing them a number of resources to use within their units, safety gates, some smoke detectors if needed, fire extinguishers, things of that nature, to give them some resources to help them start with, but also helping link them to other resources so that they know where to go for what.
This daycare and childcare is so critically important for our economy. So because it can keep people from their jobs or being productive and so on. So I'm glad that we're supporting that.
And also, we know from the total number of registered daycares in the city of Erie, which is in the 70s, the list is somewhat fluid, but over half of them are in-home.
Okay.
So, and I guess the ultimate goal would be, if this is successful, maybe eventually expanding it out into something we can offer into the county. Because we know Mill Creek has some of these sort of facilities. I know Union City has them, Corey has them. So ideally, that would be a program that I'd love to see grow into a dedicated thing at some point.
Sure, because I see a lot of posting out in Edinburgh in terms of people looking for placement for their children so they can either go to school or to work.
Yeah, and so, the whole point of this mini grant was really to launch these bigger sort of projects for the future and also to, a chance to celebrate these in-home providers that never get quite the recognition that commercial providers get, despite the fact that they fill a ginormous role in the workforce, so, yeah.
That's really good to know. I'm really happy to learn that.
Thank you. So other than that, it's lead and whole homes right now. That's what's keeping me busy, so.
All right, very good. So on to the property activity report.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
Thanks, Holly. Property report, May through July 2024. Property acquisition, we had 4 acquisitions via deed in lieu of condemnation. So those are identified there. And then we have another 4 properties as far as disposition. 2 of those were revestment of title to, post-condemnation action to give the property back to those property owners for taking care of their issues. So those 4 properties are listed there. And then the Blighted Property Review Committee, 11 additional properties in this time frame were declared blighted. We did rescind blight on 16 properties. Currently, the list sits at 269 active or properties with active blight designation. So that is the property report, and there is a resolution for adoption of the property report.
Thank you. In our packets was the resolution, which simply notes that the report was delivered, and we are accepting it as presented. Is there a motion to accept the resolution as presented in our packets?
So moved.
Is there a second?
I second.
Thank you. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Now we have the, probably the most important thing is our lead hazard reduction grant. Right?
Absolutely. So, as you're aware, this, what do we calculate? This is our 8th application for lead hazard control funding on behalf of the authority. We're finishing up our just over $3 million grant here in short order. So we're looking for the board to give its blessing via resolution for us to submit an application for our next round of funding. Our anticipation is $5 million, 148 units, 144 units over 48 months. That was where my thing is. So that's what this resolution is for, and it will just be included into our board, or into our grant application to HUD here at the end of this week. So that is there. So, and I do want to take one moment to commend the staff for their diligent work on putting this grant application together. It speaks, to anybody who's ever put together a grant application of this magnitude. It takes a lot of staff time, roughly 200 hours of staff time, and between everyone who has chipped in letters of support and putting narrative together and doing that, it's tremendous, and I commend them for their hard work and dedication to this. It's not easy, it's stressful, and it has taken away from their other daily tasks in which, help to move programs forward as well. But it is much needed for the Erie area, and something that we have come to be known for, so I appreciate it.
And again, what was the grant amount?
$5 million. I didn't put an amount in there because that will be determined once we flush out the budget here in the next day. So it might come in like the other one's $3,011,044. So it'll, wherever the number comes into is what it'll be.
So some new resources to the city then.
Yes.
To handle the situation then. Very good. And we do have a resolution, don't we?
Yep, we do have a resolution, so
So a resolution has been prepared and submitted in our packets, dated August 12th, today's date, to allow the staff to submit the application to U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development for this lead-based paint grant hazard.
It's very wordy.
Indeed. Is there a motion to accept the resolution as presented?
So moved.
Is there a second?
I second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any, I hear ayes, no noes, or abstain. So that, congratulations, thank you. And I agree with Aaron, thank you for all the work. It takes a village. It takes a village to fix a village, right? Or,
yeah.
Thanks for your support. Appreciate that.
I'll work on that line a little bit. That's not very good, is it? All right. Okay. Tell us about the Uniform Federal Grant Guidance Policies and Procedures.
All right, so without boring you with 2 CFR Part 200, this is more of a housekeeping measure as part of our grant application for the LHRD. It was last amended by the board back in 2017, so we've made some adjustments and amendments based upon changes to 2 CFR Part 200, along with the fact that we're back to being the Redevelopment Authority of the City of Erie, so we've made those adjustments throughout the document. But this is just a document in HUD requested as part of making sure that we understand and have policies and procedures in place to follow 2 CFR Part 200, which is your major financial mechanism for any federal grant. So,
All right. I'm a little familiar with that. So, all right. Is there a motion to accept the resolution as presented?
I so move.
Is there a second?
I second.
Any discussion before we vote? I might add, just as an aside, maybe we could also, for our next meeting, look at our bylaws to, as this reminded me about some updates. Folks that are on the Zoom, we currently don't allow for electronic voting, so we thought we might take a gander at our bylaws to bring them current to today's modern standards to allow certain ways to conduct business in certain situations. So I would add add as an aside that as we're adopting this, that we could look at our bylaws next month.
Absolutely. Well, I'll get those out to the board with some highlighted areas that we can address, and then board members can chime in on other suggestions as well.
Okay, perfect. All right, so we have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 And I don't hear any noes or abstains, so motion carries. Let's see, that's that. Item number 10, the board has been meeting in executive session to go over the executive director's mid-year review. We have a resolution that's been presented. We would like to adopt the resolution as presented with the caveat that we have one or two pieces of information to insert, not today, unfortunately, but in the very near future, my promise, just because everybody's scattered a little bit.
Right,
And so
yeah.
the core of the resolution is perfectly fine with us. We just have one small item to insert. So is there a motion to accept the resolution as printed with the caveat that we will complete the one data point by our next meeting? Is there a motion to accept the resolution?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any nays or abstains? Hearing none, the motion passes with the three of us then. Item E, other business. Do any of the members have any other business to bring forth to go to the order today?
No.
Hearing none.
I do not.
I do not.
I'll circle back with another executive session and before our next meeting. And with that, is there a motion to adjourn? That's normally the
So
easy
moved.
one. And is there a second to adjourn?
I second.
All right, all those in favor, aye. So, meeting closed at 3:56.
Thank you, thanks.
Thank you. Mr. Toman,
Thank you.
Thanks.
Mr. Nelson, thank you.